Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football. Pretty soon I'm going to have to turn on my webcam because my face movements and my expressions are kind of hilarious when I'm doing some of these reviews. With over 20 plus years coaching experience, doing lots of things in the old football community, I break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. And today we're doing the Aston Villa against the Chelsea. Chelsea, there is the robbed VAR decision at the end that I will be covering because I don't think it's a foul, because that means you have to chalk off the Newcastle goal against Arsenal because it's a very similar vein and all those other rubbish things. But I'll cover that when I get to it. First of all, I'm going to show you how this goal transpires. And I'm going to show you that this is becoming an epidemic in the Premier League where players, here he is, he's ball watching and not understanding what he's doing. Right. So the danger is the spacing behind. So this guy here is kind of supposed to be looking after the space, but so's this guy here. He's focused on the player, thinking that's where the ball's going to go. When he doesn't go there instantly, watch how his body shape changes and he completely forgets about the player out wide out here, okay? Let's just watch. He goes to track the player. You can see he's left the ball. This guy's not pressuring it. So all of a sudden he goes, uh-oh, my teammate's not doing his job properly and pressuring the ball because he's kind of marking the player. This is another awful thing that's happening as well, is people are going, oh, my job is to mark this player and do this zone. No, your job is to win the football. The football has become a secondary motion now in the Premier League. They're, just doing silly things of marking players. And funny thing is, a lot of the time they don't track the runners. It's getting terrible. So as this happens, you can see he's looking at the player, but then he'll take a little step and he goes back towards the ball. And that gives this guy all the space. And you can see he's set. He doesn't know whether to go or to stay because now he's got a runner in behind. He's not sure. Can he leave? What's going on? This guy here, Casado, they spent 100 million on, should have read this situation. Should he have covered this gap here? No, but he should have been coming in and realising and giving this guy the licence to go because he's coming in to cover. He's probably not because he sees this guy doing it, but of course he's not goal side and he's nowhere near close enough. So he needs to be making more of an effort to come in and basically cover so this player can go out wide and do a job. Or this player doesn't get caught in between the two players. Like he's in no man's land. He's not going out wide and he's not close enough to challenge for the ball. So I don't know why he's stopping and thinking that it's a good idea. And a quality pass is made, taking him completely nutty out of the play. Don't worry, £100 million Casado, still walking, still not doing anything. And he still hasn't gone out wide, which is, it is a mistake because that's where the ball ends up. But before the ball goes, you can see his understanding of, well, I've still got to hold my shape and do my back four. So he's not so keen to run out and pressure the ball straight away. As he does, though, watch what happens. He's a little bit too late, gets out there. Now, Casado starts to make an effort. Now he starts to do something, but everything is too late. He's can be completely taken out of the game by a simple pass. But it wasn't just a simple pass, it was his poor movement. He went out wide and went back in and didn't pick and stick with the decision. His decision was to go out wide, even though it was wrong. He could have tracked the runner and then let everybody else deal with the player on the ball, because back here, he wasn't really a threat. And he couldn't really done much with the ball back here because there were so many people being able to mark inside of the box and they would have to have cycled the ball around again. Doesn't. Ball comes across and again, we've got a completely and utterly unmarked player in the box to get himself a goal. Now what we're going to do is go back, look at the midfield, 1, 2, 3. No one's close enough. Taps it into the net box. Now let's see where this guy comes from. Here he is with the left back who lets him run, lets him go. So again, I go to this, I try to explain this. If the player is marking, right, like this, okay, no one goes to mark, I think it's McGinty, I can't remember his name. He must be a good player, I can't remember his name properly. No one is going to come in and mark him because they're assuming Chalobah is marking him. So they're going to go, right, okay, Chalobah's got the guy, I don't need to come in and help because he's clearly marking that player. Now here's the other issue. Chalobah does something that's right, but it's also wrong. He has a look and he sees this player running in. So now he leaves that guy because he's worried about the guy further on the back post. And he ends up being completely and utterly unmarked. No one else can read the situation. What he really should have done is track without, this guy should have yelled, I've got him, you mark him. And that's what really should have happened. He doesn't do his job. No one really does. And it ends up him going between two players again, not making a decision. And that's the other issue. Make a decision. Sometimes it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong because you've made the decision. Then what we can do is we can train and teach you how to make the correct decision. Not making a decision and being caught in no man's land all the time means that you don't know what you're doing. It means you don't know whether you should be going to A or B. If you're going to B and you should have been going to A, well, we can teach you the signals and the triggers that make you go, oh, right, you need to go here, over there. And then we can fill in the gaps like, okay, well, you've gone to A, someone else is going to come into B and he hasn't done his job. If you're just doing nothing, Well, we can't yell at him and say, well, you should have been marking him, because he's going to go, well, I thought he had him. So you have to make a decision. You have to force other players on your team to come in and help. Watch Chalobah's reaction here. You can see he puts the brakes on because he realises where the ball's going to go. Boom, you see that? Oh, I've made the wrong decision, and it's too late. He starts, is it Chalobah? I think it's Cucurella. I don't know. One of the two. And he keeps running in, dush, and it's all too late. I don't think this guy scores, actually. I think this little wee man here scores. And if he was a little bit Johnny on the spot, but also remember, the centre-back was marking him, and the centre-back's left him as well. The centre-back's taken 2 yards off him. So this is what other sports pundits will do. They'll go, oh yeah, but look, this guy's trying to make the challenge. Well, he's trying to make the challenge because the centre-back marking him has drifted off him and allowed him to have this space in the first place. Yes, those yard and a half, that is drifting off him. So they'll poke in, bonk. Unacceptable, really. They should have been able to deal with that. Not good enough. Let's get on to the next goal. This goal is what you'd actually just class as an unlucky goal. There are unlucky goals in football, and they do happen. So when they do happen, you have to call it. The reason it's unlucky is because the amount of ricochets. I think it takes 4 ricochets in little deflections before it ends up into the back of the net. Here's the first one. Tackle comes in, boom, and it just like skips and bounces up. No one really knows where it's going to go. But of course, you've got the £100 million defensive midfielder in Casado, who's not close enough to win the ball here. He should have been a little bit deeper. He hasn't tracked the runner just enough. And then, of course, he receives the same deflection that just happened there. Happens again here because his body shape isn't right. Bump, the ball bounces. And the funny thing is, it ends up almost in the exact same area as the last little bouncy ricochet did. So all these players have now just been swarming this player, didn't win the ball, and you can start seeing the space opening up on the blinds. First time pass out. Now all he's got to do, take his time, and then take his shot. It goes through the legs here. That's one of those things where if you're aiming for the, if he's going for this far post here, and then he drags the shot into the near post, you can get the defender to step, and you can put it right through their legs. It's very sort of, it's a bit of luck and it's a bit of skill at the same time. It takes a long time to be good enough to be able to do a shot like that and actually get it right and not hit the defender's standing leg. He gets it, and it goes right into the bottom corner. The keeper probably should have done a bit better, to be honest. He shouldn't be letting that go in so easily there. But maybe he's unsighted from his defenders. But the thing is, your whole Premier League goalkeepers at a higher standard. They're not playing on your pub team. They're not playing down in the lower divisions. They should be making saves, like that. The ball isn't hit hard enough for him not to save it. Now let's get on to the Chelsea goal. Okay, so I want you to watch how this player receives the ball. This is one of the main things that, because I'm a real, what do you call, a high-end technical coach. Technical coaches, we reverse on technical ability. But it's not just receiving the ball. It's how your body shape is when you receive the ball. Where is the weight transference on your feet? How are you? Are you in balance? So if you're not balanced when you're receiving the ball, you're in all sorts of trouble. So it doesn't matter how good your first touch is, because you've actually got to rearrange your feet to make a pass or do something else. I found that out the other week going back trying to play the old football at my old age, and just the balance isn't there. You're trying to receive the ball and do a thing, and you just don't have it. It's not as tight. It's because I'm unfit. But watch this guy when he receives the ball. Watch his balance. Don't. Do you see that extra step he had to take there? Don't. He tried to, because it's bounced away from him, and he's kind of on the half turn, he had to step away from it, and that's when he really wanted to be passing it. And because he didn't have that extra step, bump, and release the ball, that's how he's been caught. Possibly it's a foul as well, but that's not. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in, can he do a technical job better? He can. His balance wasn't quite right, an extra step. Another place where you see those extra steps happen is when people are going to strike the ball. They do like a hop, skip, step. That's because their technical ability isn't crisp enough. It's not clean enough. And that's one of those mistakes that when you're in the youth level, people let you get away with because they don't know any better, because most coaches are rubbish. And then it flows into your game later on, and it's almost impossible to to coach out those mistakes that have been allowed to ingrain. And people go, why didn't this player make it? Well, because they have ingrained flaws that can constantly repeat themselves. You cannot outcoach them now. You cannot get that out of them no matter what you do, because they've been doing that for 10, 15 years, doing this little hop, skip, step before they shoot, and that half a second, it's always going to mean that they're not good enough at the highest level. After the ball's won, though, there's still a lot of work to do. Little wee man here turns, gets it on the inside. This is again what I'm talking about, where look at his balance and poise. He's going with the ball. He's making this guy here completely off balance, because he's obviously trying to run so hard. All of that energy of him running is taking him off balance. So he's easily able to beat him. Turns him, dosh, and then we're looking for a little slide rule finish into the bottom corner, which he gets quite easy. Look at his mechanics there, though. Quality little inside of the foot smash into the bottom corner finds his target, nice and easy. I don't know if he's left-footed, but that's still a nice little take. One of the important things when you're striking a ball is always where your standing foot is. His isn't right, but he hits the ball cleanly enough that it is actually a good shot, and it gets the Chelsea back into the game. Here's the next thing I'm going to point out here. It's just, there's only two things really to point out on this goal. It's the pocket of space that he's found himself in. And this is happening more and more in the Premier League because people are playing a 4-3-3 system. And they don't really know what the 4-3-3 system is because they've watched Total Football at Ajax once upon a time and they don't quite get it. It opens up the wide spaces here. All right, this is what Man City take advantage of because normally you'd have two midfielders sitting in a 4-4-2 and someone is always going to be close enough to deal with this space. When you've got one midfielder sitting here, a defensive midfielder, that means he's got to get back and forth both sides of the field. And quite often he just sits in front and defends the two centre-backs because that's what he does further down the field. So when you get down to the 18-yard box, his role changes and he's actually got to squeeze this place, squeeze the side where the ball's being played. So here would be the ball being played, he'd have to help and squeeze. But it just becomes natural that, well, you've been doing a thing for 40 minutes. For the next 5 minutes, now you've got to completely change your game, and you just forget sometimes. And that's kind of what's happened here. So this is where this pocket of space is opened up. He gets and receives the ball. Bosh, in it comes, and he's got so much time to turn and pick his spot. And he does pick his spot. Bends it in quite nicely, but also there is time for people to come and pressure the ball, but they're just not there quick enough. And he scores a nice little goal. Way it goes. He gets no points if he makes sound effects. As he didn't make sound effects, he only gets the one goal. He needs to learn the rules in the Premier League. Right, let's get on to this VAR decision, because I just don't think this is a foul. So here's the problem I have with it. If you're pushing the player in the back and he falls over, yeah, I'm going to give him the foul because that's right. Because he stands on his feet, I'm not going to give the foul. I know it sounds stupid, but that's the rules in my opinion. Because, if you push somebody in the back, it's a foul. Yeah, kind of, but he's being strong and he's fighting for the ball. If he's fighting for the ball and beating with strength, which he is right here, Duff, he's just nudged out of the way. Just nudged out of the way. Not really fouled. I mean, if that happens on the halfway line for a header, the ref's not giving that as a foul. And that's kind of what I use my judgment for. If they do that outside of the box, are they going to call that a foul? No. So they can't scratch the goal off inside the box for that foul. Because if that's on the halfway line, two people battling for the ball, the ref's just going to go play on because both players are trying to be strong. Both players are trying to fight for the ball. They're going to go, yeah, he's pushed you, you're just not strong enough. And they would have given the goal. They don't. And I think if Chelsea really needed that goal, to be fair, to try to get their confidence up a bit, but they didn't. And the ref just gave that as a foul. Yeah. VAR had to check with the betting system and see where they made the most money. But I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.